Hello, I'm Abby the seamstress and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be sewing the super cute tote bag, so let's get started. Step 1 is going to be gathering and cutting materials. I used a white cotton canvas for the body of the bag and the straps, and an Animal Crossing quilting cotton for the accent pocket, but feel free to use whatever you like. First, we are going to lay out the two fabrics and cut two rectangles 18 by 24. Next, we are going to want to cut our straps. Mine are cut to 5 by 20, but you can adjust this depending on how tall or short you are. You can also use webbing for this step if you don't want to sew straps, but I find those to be a little bit expensive, and I already had the scraps lying around, so I decided to just go ahead with that. You're also going to want to cut your pocket. Mine is 6 by 4 with a point at the bottom, but feel free to cut whatever size you would like. The next step in the process is going to be ironing out all the pieces that we just cut and making sure everything is really crisp and clean. While this step is technically optional, I highly recommend that you take the time and do not skip this step. It's just going to make everything cleaner. You're not going to have any weird angles because you accidentally sewed over a wrinkle. It's just going to make your life easier. Do it. Thank me later. Now I'm ironing over the edges of my pocket. This will just make sure that whenever I go to top stitch over the edge of my pocket, it'll be really easy for me. My seams will be really cut, really crisp, really clean. I'm also going to fold over the top edge like is shown in the bottom right hand corner and sew over the top of that. This will ensure that whenever I go to sew the pocket on my bag, that the top edge is not just a raw edge and that it's all really crisp and clean. So the next step is going to be actually sewing the pocket onto one of the outer edges of the tote. The tote bag is not sewed together, so the two rectangles, just one independent rectangle. That'll be important for later, but right now we are just going to sew as close as you can get to the edges of the rectangle like is shown in the upper right hand corner. My seam allowance was about 1/8 inch, maybe a little bit less, but as close as you can get is fine. This pocket is just going to hold something small, so it shouldn't need some really heavy duty, really precise stitching. Just whatever you can do. So now we're actually ready to sew the two rectangles of the bag together. So you're going to put your pocket to the inside of your bag so that whenever you sew it, it's going to be facing the inside, and then sew around the three edges of the bag. Obviously you're not going to sew the top because then you couldn't get into it, but sew around the three edges using anywhere from a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch seam. Now I am just turning the bag inside out, so now you'll notice that the pocket is facing the outside, and I'm going to use a pair of scissors to press my corners out to make sure I have nice, crisp, pretty corners. And then I'm also going to right now look at my straps, decide where I want them, decide the length I want my straps, and pin them in place so they are ready to sew. So the next part is we're going to sew the straps onto the bag. You could sew back and forth, back and forth, back and forth along the straps, but I chose to do this little box method that I learned how to do whenever I was sewing for NASA. It just makes sure that your straps are going to be super secure, that they're not going to come off, they're not going to flop around whenever you set the bag down. They're going to stay there, and I also think it looks kind of cool and like a little flourish, whatever. after you secure the straps on all 4 sides, this bag is done. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you next time.